So one of the things that I want to talk today about is kind of the journey, the path, where I am, and how your story can help others to grow. So as you kind of move through life, whatever your journey is, it's important to help people along the way. I know that in kind of my path from working at home out of college to going into an engineering firm where I actually went into the office to then moving and managing teams across two offices to then managing MEP teams. I had different things that I maybe struggled with along the way. There's probably a ton of things. Well, there is a ton of things that I didn't know. And you kind of learn as you go. And then now in my journey of entrepreneurship and making that whole thing work and developing software and learn how to write and market and do videos and tell my story, that through each of those processes, through each of those evolutions, as you will, there were certain things that I needed to know. So today I want to talk to you about really the transition from maybe working from home into an office and being around a team. So in my kind of first job, I did a lot of arc flash studies. Well, really, that was all we did was arc flash studies. So we went out to facilities, mapped out their entire electrical system, got all the specific information for each piece of equipment throughout that entire system, and then came back into the office and modeled all of it in Power Tools for Windows, and then did bunch of studies around that. So short circuit studies, arc flash studies, coordination studies, and then wrote big reports. So in really most of my academic career, I thought that writing was overrated and nobody needs to know this English stuff. You just be good at math and that's really all you need to know. Turns out my first job and something I did for 5 years, kind of on and off through school, all I did was write reports. So it's kind of funny how that happens, that thing maybe we didn't really want or value a ton at the time becomes super valuable and beneficial to us down the road. So that's what I did for the first 2.5 years. I wrote close to, I think, 100 studies. It might have been less than that, but somewhere in that ballpark. Did a lot of arc flash studies, looked at a lot of electrical systems, and that's basically what I did and lived in kind of day in and day out for years. And I did that at home, traveled a decent amount, and when I went into the office and transitioned into working in an architecture and engineering firm, right, designing buildings, it was a different kind of world, and everything was kind of different day in and day out versus in writing the reports and studies. Things were fairly repetitive over time, which, that gets to me in engineering as well. And the architecture world, there's a lot of repetitive things as well, differences, and then you know how to solve them. But what I really learned in going into the office is that we can learn from a lot of people, and there's a lot of things that we can pull in from different places that really improve our knowledge base. And so being in a firm, and this was exactly what I wanted, was to learn kind of more. I thought I reached a plateau in my knowledge of kind of power systems and electrical engineering, and didn't necessarily get exposed to a lot of different things to expand my knowledge base. So by going into an office and working in a firm where I got exposed to just different things, different clients, different projects, different stuff, really allowed me to open my horizons and increase my knowledge base using a lot of the things that I've already known and knew in power systems to some of these buildings. Still doing some studies, after my non-compete on that was over, and then just increasing the value that we could drive into each and every project. But going into an office, being around other people, having different points of view, kind of expanding that social circle, if you will, was super valuable for me. And so for those of you that maybe you're in a company or have been there for a number of years and maybe reached a plateau in the types of things that you're doing where it's pretty repetitive and you don't necessarily think you're gaining any knowledge or increasing your experience anymore, right? Because you could do the same things over and over and over, year after year after year. And just because you have 20 years doesn't mean you have 20 years of experience. You really have 1, maybe 2 years repeated for 20. So the more reps you can get to become proficient in something and then gain some mastery is super powerful. But after that, what else are you learning, right? What other experiences do you have? What other project types are you doing? And what is the next thing for you to really grow and develop your skill sets moving forward? And I've done that basically in every move that I've made over my career. Is everything was to increase skill sets, right? Going from an individual contributor to a manager to in leading teams to then going to more client facing and figuring out that whole world and managing multidisciplinary teams, to being an entrepreneur and figuring out how to sell and communicate and develop a product and everything that goes into building those pieces. So in your transition steps, what I would highly recommend is that you figure out what you effectively kind of need or what that next skill set that you want to learn is, and then find something to help you in that. It could be in your current job, and maybe it's moving roles within the company. Maybe it's finding a mentor to help imbibe and give you those skill sets, or picking up a book, or there's a lot of ways to kind of skin this cat of skill set and knowledge acquisition. Just make sure that you're continuing to level up and gain skills, and that'll help you in your career. It'll help you make you, I'm going to say well-rounded, but really just adding tools to your tool belt makes you a much more valuable team member and a valuable asset to the team or any team that you might decide to join. So that is kind of my few steps here through my journey, and hope that helps you on yours and figuring out what you want to do.